Good evening. This is Dealer with the Crazy Picker Life, episode 5, the Daylight Savings Special. And with me tonight is Big. He's bad. He's
Whaler. How funny, Dealer told me it's episode 5. I was like, it's only episode 5? And I was also like, wow, it's already episode 5.
This is a milestone, and it's the eve of daylight savings time, and so this is the show that you can still watch for an hour and not lose sleep. And we're going to talk about our father-son and son picking business. I have with me the main player son of mine.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about picking tonight, as usual. And what was I gonna say? Well, working with working with these dumb kids, working with these darn kids, you ask them, gosh, kids, what we normally do on Saturday night is we work till 11 p.m. and then we sit back and have some snacks and hang out and watch some videos. We've been watching one of the newer Star Trek.
I don't remember. It starts with a V, I think.
I don't know.
Voyager or something like that.
Well, it's a Star Trek series that actually is newer, but it takes place right before the original Captain Kirk Star Trek.
Yep, original Enterprise. Well, not quite, because they showed on the intro like the...
We tried to watch one of the newer ones that is after the Enterprise.
Next Generation.
Like with Picard and stuff, and we didn't relate to that, so... We're watching
He wasn't energetic enough.
Anyway, so we sit around and we have some, chill time, whatever, and I asked the kids, I'm like, hey, we're losing an hour of sleep tonight. Is that a big deal for you? You want to stay up? And I'm like, gosh, I don't really want to go home at 2 o'clock.
Wow, it's 1, and then at 2 it turns to 3.
Yeah, and then try to get up like an old man tomorrow morning on Sunday when I have to get up. And so, of course, when you ask kids, this is why I said darn kids, and out came dumb kids. I should have known what the answer was. So anyway, Dealer's in for a late night and an early morning. It's going to be a coffee day with Mom tomorrow. To invite her for a $6.
Still have a lot of coffee left from in the fridge there. I only had like 4 ounces today. I had a really small portion at the beginning of the day. That's about it.
Well, for you, I can buy high octane organic coffee, and you can drink good stuff for like $10 a bag. When I take your mom out, it's like $6 a coffee.
Yep.
Times 2. So it's one of those deals. Okay, so anyway, it's our late night, what do you call it? Daylight Savings Time Special.
Yep.
Now, on the show tonight, first of all, last week's show, the disaster of trying to get it listed in time. So we apologize, we did not get it up. We had about 3 different minor problems.
Printer broke, the thing didn't upload, then it took too long to upload, so we had to edit, and then we had to re-upload. It worked okay in the end, but man, it was a journey.
Well, we have some upload issues, and we had some editing issues, and everybody was sick issues.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, okay, we can't get it up Monday night.
By the way, so I'm not sick today. Like, that's good.
Yeah, we're both better.
Yep.
For the most part. I mean,
I got through it pretty quick.
I'm still crazy, but that's not...
that's not the sickness, though.
That's not really the sickness.
It's the sickness, not the sickness.
We won't talk about that. So, anyway, Monday night comes and goes. I'm like, oh boy, everybody's going to hate it. It's going to come out Tuesday. Tuesday night comes and goes. I'm like, ah.
It's going to be on Wednesday.
It's going to be Wednesday. Wednesday night comes and goes. I'm like, oh man, we might as well just skip a week.
Thursday.
So this week I'm hoping we got it a little bit more figured out. You should see this by Monday night.
I don't have crazy lighting either. Like, I kind of ruffled through my camera menus and I think I figured it out. So that's good. We don't have to buy a new camera. We're just about to go Casey Neistat have our super cool vlogging camera, but nope, not to be. Let's stay with the
Is
old
that a
one.
Casey Neistat shout out?
I don't know. Everybody knows who Casey Neistat is. We're the small channel here. Come on.
Oh, I'm sure he watches us.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
He's not busy at all.
You're right.
Vlogging every single day, 2 million followers.
Oh, the Google Glass. You can probably just watch movies while he's. I don't think he wears the Google Glass.
Anyway, we're camera guys. Oh yeah, we got the camera figured out. We're not blinking in and out, and wait a minute, my shirt's dark and yours is light. And
The auto lighting is no longer at large. We have captured the auto lighting and put it in prison. And
my
now we
head's
have-
square and your head is what?
Yeah, I should put this through like some sort of weird filter where everything's like
Yeah.
abstract.
Okay, now that we've lost half the audience.
I lost half the episode, it's
We
been
lost
30
half.
minutes.
Oh, whoa, it's a good idea. Lost half the episode. We have an exciting show tonight. We broke form, and unfortunately, or fortunately, the idea of listing everything before we go picking again went out the window. So we went buying. We'll talk about that. In fact, in the last 7 days, and really in the last 3 days, we put on some miles. We went to an auction,
Yep.
2.5 hours away. We went to the first rummage sale in our area of the season
Yep.
in town. We went to the local gun and coin show.
Yep.
And we went to our local antique store called the Flea Market that actually has some pretty good stuff.
Better antiques than the actual antique store in town.
Well, it
At least better
has
for us, I guess.
it has some heavy hitters. One lady goes to all the auctions on Sundays. We do not go to the Sunday auctions, so we don't work on Sundays. That's a tough one, but we don't do it. And so she goes there and buys all the stuff, and then we just have to buy the good stuff at a markup.
Yep.
And then another guy's a scrapper, like a metal scrapper, and he runs into all kinds of crazy stuff.
Scrapper, not a rapper. Rapper,
And
scrapper.
then they have some other people there. So there's actually some pretty good stuff, and we're able to work some deals with them. We're going to show off all that stuff. We have one question and answer question we'll talk about today, how to pay your kids to work for you. And then we'll show some items.
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay, so let's get some of these things out of the way, and then we'll do these other ones. We had a question come in. Somebody was hiring their I believe their son or their kid to start working for them, and was running into some challenges about how to pay them. And I'm familiar with those challenges. Kids these days certainly do have the opportunity to work outside of the home. When I was a kid, I started detasseling corn, and I
Tasseling corn. Okay, that's cool.
did that for a summer, for at least, 8-10 weeks, whatever. That's pretty interesting work. And then, I did some babysitting. I did some paper routes for a number of years, on into, there were some selling contests and things like that for school. It's not really a job, but
Yeah. Well, I did that too with Boy Scout popcorn. Made pretty good money off of it.
yeah, there was some incentives
Making
there.
$800 a year or something if you include the prize, everything. That's pretty.
Scholarships
Crazy.
and everything.
Well, no, not include the scholarship. That was pretty high too.
Still,
yeah.
it's still there.
Still there.
Let's see what else. I went into the restaurant business and did busboy and assistant waiter and dishwasher.
Yep.
Then went into the factory and did some paint department work, etc. So, kids have a lot of choices, and I think they should get out and do some things. So the question was, though, what if they're going to work the eBay business? And when Wheeler and I started out working together long ago, and then this really was, you were kind of interested in what I was doing when I was selling air purifiers and doing a website, but you were pretty young.
Yeah. Well, I actually started a website for about a year there too. That when you were doing that whole thing.
That was probably your first thing you did.
Yeah, I think it was.
We did some of that together, and then you started getting interested in cameras, and initially I cut you a heck of a deal.
Yeah.
Wheeler went around to some of the local rummage sales here, which I wouldn't touch. I was buying things online and selling them. I had a focused air purifier niche where I just had to search these things out on Craigslist and a few other places and buy as many as I could and clean them up and sell them. I had some other things going on. We had just moved into our new house, and so I was doing remodeling and all kinds of things.
Yep.
Wheeler came to me, and what'd you say about the local rummage sales, and what did I say?
Well, I found some stuff. Here's what it goes for. I tried to look it up on eBay, showed him, and of course it's a little bit high on some of this stuff. Right at first, like I had a really bad, I was like, what do you call it? Banana peeler over there.
Optimistic.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, you're real excitable, and no doubt why. And I said about rummage sales, my perception of rummage sales was, it's just gonna be a bunch of kids' clothes.
Yeah.
And so Wheeler really turned that around for me in a hurry. He started to bring home some cameras, and I was like, all right, I'll buy them. We'll split the profit 50-50.
Yep. Because it was a small-time business. You figured it was just going to be like a small...
Well, I thought it was going to be a hobby for you. And,
yeah.
And a lot of it was because you were, gosh, this could have been 6 years ago and 5 years
2008,
ago.
2009.
4, yeah.
Because the eBay account, the main one, that can guy was founded in 2010, so that was...
Okay.
I think at least, I don't remember.
So I was real busy. The other business I was getting off the ground was the diabetic test strips.
Yep.
And that took a lot of my time too. So, you were in school, you certainly were way more kid-like, you had a lot of things going, you're into coins, you're very energetic. So I cut you this 50-50 deal and kind of cut you loose. And then before I knew it, I mean, you put everything you had into it.
Yeah, well, absolutely. We started buying from an online...
No, you did.
Well, yeah, I did.
You put a lot into
Yeah.
it and showed me something.
Yeah.
That, hey, not only were you interested, but you could pick up on this. Now, there were all kinds of green all about you. Okay?
Absolutely.
Your enthusiasm.
I remember the first thing we bought on eBay, like I was going to talk about what we bought initially, but the first thing we bought on eBay, I was so excited about this camera and lens setup, and I was like, whoa, dealer, this is the best deal ever. And then he bought it and made maybe $200 on a $400 purchase or something on like a bunch of lenses. And
Yeah.
First of all, because we didn't know a lot about it, and I'm sure you listed it reasonably or whatever, but anyway, yeah. I used to look highest to lowest and like, whoa, that went for big money, that's obviously the best. That's what I'd go for.
Well,
So, no, I was
you
very
didn't
green.
you
Very
didn't
green.
know what you didn't know, and I mean, you made all the possible mistakes.
Mhm.
And you just you overworked everything, and if there's 100% of mistakes, I mean within the first 6 months we cut out half of them.
Yeah.
And again, you showed me something that you could persevere and do this. You wanted to stay up late, you wanted to do it, you're all enthusiastic. It was sapping my energy a little bit, and without getting into all the details, we could tell stories and stories
Yeah,
and
just
stories.
Sum it up pretty quick, just back to like the 50% pay thing. At the end of a year, I was making really good money. Just kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like I bought a $800 camera, a $900 lens, a $400 iMac or something near the end of the first year because we were buying from pawn shops. We started buying on eBay. We were buying big lots. It really accelerated crazily there, and man, I was really raking it in at that point.
Well,
And the dealer came to me and said,
Well, here's a couple of things that happened. I was paying them on the front end of this thing.
yeah, so 50%.
And so, yeah, I don't know exactly how that worked, but the problem was stuff was getting listed faster than it was getting sold. Things were getting bought fast. My cash flow got real tough on that, and we weren't calculating expenses quite right. And the interesting shift that happened was, my time wasn't involved off the bat. You were actually packing things initially,
Yeah.
which
That was
turned into be a
funny.
disaster. But
Yeah.
so the deal had to change, and what really happened, to make it a long story short, is I put all my other businesses on hold for a while, and I decided, hey, let's go for the camera
Yeah.
niche. and then I had to recalculate your percentages.
Yeah, I don't remember for sure, but I think we had 500 items listed at the end of the first year, something right around there. We really went at it.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, here's
last 8 months of the year there.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was good and bad. So we had to recalibrate, and your current deal, just to throw it out there, is a 30% deal.
Yeah, no, it's a real good deal.
And here's how that works though. Wheeler does all the listing of it. He answers a lot of the questions for cameras. I've had to work with him on questions, not because you can't handle them, but it's the technical end you can handle. It's mostly relating to people through email.
Yeah, absolutely. Dealers had a lot more experience with like phone customers and stuff, which kind of relates to the whole customer service email end of it.
And when you throw the whole multiple languages in there and everything else, we got a lot more misunderstandings and negatives to start with. And again, I'm not pointing fingers.
Yeah, I think we had 2 negatives after the first year or something like that.
Well,
I don't know.
No, you don't remember enough of it. But yeah. I was cleaning up some situations.
Yeah,
Can you remember that? And this is just being real about this. You went from young and zero business experience and zero eBay experience to being now. Really, you'd have to dig deep, but I could just walk away and you could run this business.
Yeah.
And you'd have to scale it down a bit, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But, you've come a long way. So anyway, you list things, you answer the questions, you test things, clean things up, and you're involved in the buying. I do the packing and some other things surrounding the camera business. I put everything on the shelf and inventory it. I came up with a lot of the systems on how to number it and all those different things. I don't know what else we exchange. I do all the relisting and I run things. I run the sales.
Yep.
I throw stuff away. I do the lots.
Yeah.
I do some of the camera stuff that I can do, like signs and things like that.
Yep.
And then of course I list my own channels stuff and test strips and a bunch of miscellaneous stuff and pack all the orders. So right now our sales are about 50-50. It's about 50% sales of camera stuff and it's about 50% others.
Yeah.
About. It fluctuates.
Yep.
So what we settled on is this. And I think one of my things that's coming up here, maybe we'll talk more about that, but we are going to incorporate and have company car and president, and I'm not sure what your role will be, but you're going to be an owner in the new company, the corporation, a percentage owner of some kind, so that there's a succession plan.
Yep. Got a cool new car, you said.
Well, yeah, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But there's some plans for the future. So anyway, it's a 30% of profit calculated after the sale and after expenses.
Yep.
And he gets 10% every 2 weeks off of sold items in cash.
Yep.
He gets 10% put in an account called the big ticket account, which currently is, I guess, being saved for an automobile.
Yep.
It's going to be a pretty nice one. There's a bunch of money in there. And he's going to have a nicer car than I am, probably. Unless your mom lets me get a really nice one here. I've been really
playing his cards right.
Been really playing the cards up. Hi, honey, are you watching? So is the
I don't know
trouble.
But you never know.
Oh, she has in the past.
Yep.
God, I always wonder if Big Brother's watching.
Yep.
Okay, so that is untouchable money unless we decide to spend it. That's how that works. And then 10% is going into a company equity account, and we're going to have to do some sort of recalculating how you're going to get paid once we're in that situation. But that equity is going to transfer into the corporation as a ownership position.
Yeah.
Now you'll be less than 20 years old and you'll have ownership in the family corporation.
Yep.
So that's what we do. In a nutshell, obviously you're gonna have to think things through. We have no perfect system. There are months that Wheeler makes really good money, and there are months that he makes less money. And part of the reason we split it up in 3 ways is: do you like to spend money or do you like to not spend money?
I like to spend money. Of course,
So-
I've been trying to regulate that. I've sort of got it at some points under control, but yeah, no. In general, it's just been like a fire hose. Yeah.
Right, but you know,
I get some cool stuff though, I guess.
well, we
stuff
find
comes out
stuff
of it.
on sales and things
Mhm.
like that, and sometimes you buy some things and resell them and whatever.
Yep. Got a cool monitor. Got a cool camera lens. So it works. But yeah, no.
Well, no, you have saved up lately,
Yep.
and you've done some budgeting, and we're working on some things like that. But I used to give you, like we said, we gave you all the money, and it was like,
Whee!
yeah,
Throw the money there.
here's my crib. Come on into my crib and see all my toys. So
Yeah.
anyway, hope that helps you on the question. Hourly work would work fine if you have a situation that works out for that. You'd have to test it item by item, maybe just a set item fee. You know, maybe a front end, back end. You got it.
So right now our system is based on commission, I guess would be
Commission.
we call it.
It is commission. And you know, Wheeler works pretty hard, and so there's
The harder the
nothing.
work, the more I think you get paid. It's not like an hour by hour thing. If it's an hour by hour thing, man, I would have.
Well, yeah, there's some caution with the hourly.
Yeah. Oh, I listed an item this hour.
I mean, my style has always been, I'm available for questions, but I'm busy, so a lot of times I let people just go, figure things out, and then I have to sit down with them, and then I have to put them in headlock and crank on them a little bit, and get down to it. I've always been the kind of person that's kind of been self-taught and self-learned and go-getter. So if somebody's not like that, they don't usually work out with me.
Mhm.
And so we've had our challenges working together from that standpoint, and we've kind of worked it all out.
Yep.
And I'm going through the same thing with banana peeling.
Oh man.
Well, it's not that bad, but
Yeah.
but
Saying his work ethic reminds me of me when I was starting out.
well, yeah. So it's, you know, doesn't kill you, makes you stronger.
Yep.
Let's just leave it at that. Okay, let's talk about a little bit about some of the places we went. We do have a haul video we're going to insert in here somewhere. Let's talk in general about what we did, why we decided to go there. Let's show the haul video, and then we'll talk some more about it, and then we'll show some items.
Okay. Yep.
So, I don't know, maybe it was because we got sick this last week and then needed to feel better. Maybe that was just the breaking point.
Yeah.
Got sick, and then I remember when I was younger, I would get sick or maybe break up with a girlfriend, or maybe I don't know. I needed to feel good, so I'd go out and buy something, and I think that's a normal response. For me, you know, my wife doesn't get it. Sorry, Juan, you don't get it. She thinks I'm a buyer and a spender, but in my business, if you don't buy and spend money, you don't make money. So it's not like I'm going to the mall and buying an $80 outfit and wearing it once and putting it in my closet. So we were sick, and rebounding off that, I wanted to go buy stuff.
Well, yeah. Who doesn't?
So I looked up online, and sure enough, here's an auction in the middle of the week, which doesn't happen very often. And it's a good one with a lot of merchandise that's possible for us to buy.
Yep.
It's not tractors.
Like good stuff.
It's not, you know, cows. It's not
Cattle auction, yeah.
It's not real estate. It's you know, it's just general merchandise.
Kansas' as big as cattle auction. Go on, buy the cattle.
And it's not really an estate. It's like 20 estates. I mean, it's like they held it over all winter and got
That's
all,
huge.
Yeah, it was a big deal. So, you know, we packed up some of the kids and took them, and my daughter babysat some of the other kids, and we got the kids to do their school one day before and some on the road and one after, and off we went on a field trip.
Yep.
So we went to an auction on Thursday, all-day auction. While we were down there, we went to a couple little stops down there. It turned out to be pretty much nothing. Friday, the day after we went to the auction, we went to a rummage sale locally.
Yep.
Turned out to be, you know, we've been to worse ones.
Yeah, it wasn't that great though.
No, we picked up a couple things.
Couple things.
You know, it definitely was worth the stop.
Yeah.
And then today, a lot of times if there's anything local on Saturday, what we'll do is we'll come in and pack some orders early on Saturday. I'll put together my orders. We'll take them down to the post office when it opens, and then we'll go, you know, hit the rummage sales, or in this case, it was the annual coin and gun show. And at the annual coin and gun show, we go there not for the coins really, or the guns really, but both those groups bring other things with them.
Yeah. Accessories, occasional,
Yeah.
whatever.
And most people aren't there to buy that stuff,
Yep.
but we are. So that was good, and we got to see crazy guns. The
And a
whole
lot of the people who are making their money on the guns, you know, because they're so expensive and stuff, bring this other stuff, just kind of get rid of it. It's not necessarily they're trying to get top dollar. This isn't their money maker, so.
right.
Yeah.
So we've had, you know, reasonable luck pulling a few gems out of there every
Yep.
time that we've went. And then we went down to our local antique store, the flea market, and spent $100 down there.
Yep.
Got some interesting stuff. Okay, so let's do the haul video. I recorded this a little bit earlier with Banana Peeler. We'll just edit that right in here. Okay, here we are in our new unpacking and sort of in-out storage area. We've got a haul of items here, and I wanted to show you those briefly. I've got Banana Peeler with me.
Yeah,
Hey, Banana Peeler, how's it going?
good.
Banana Peeler and his brother Squealer and Wheeler all came with me to the auction, and so he's familiar with these items. Okay, let me go through these just briefly, and I'll give you some notes on each of them, and we're going to talk about it more in the show, but I wanted to show you some of these things. I bought a lot of stop signs, and auctions are funny. I don't know if I'll talk about it or not. That one's a smaller one off of a school bus, and I don't know if that's good or bad. It probably would be good if it had the cool lenses on it, which it doesn't. Haven't looked those up. Stop signs I do pretty well with. I paid $9 each for these, and I could have just picked one at $9 and then put them back up for bidding, and they could have went for less. But sometimes the bidding goes so fast that people wake up, and the second time around they actually go for more. So I just took all three of them because I know I can sell them for at least double that each plus shipping, easy, and I might just lot them up for the right person. Scoreboard, this is one I haven't seen from Radio Shack. It's in the box. The box is kind of mush. It looks like the whole deal's there. I haven't tried it yet. Ancient switch box, Radio Shack, and it doesn't have much for controllers, but that'll be fun if it works. And I don't remember what I paid for it, 10 or 15 bucks max. I bought some models. I got a chance to look at half of them before the auction, and they were half built. The rest of them were at least half built. There's some good ones here. I don't know, I paid 20 bucks or something. It's going to be a parts lot. It probably won't sell for too much more than that, so that was a bust. There were some other models there, and they were sealed and pretty cool. They attracted a lot of attention, though. I like models. This is a folk art, kind of a primitive, heavy-duty carved metal and not metal, wood on the body, and then metal boar pig thing. Pretty cool, actually. I paid 25 bucks for it. Currently, I have it listed for 60 or 80 or something like that. It's actually really neat, and there's going to be somebody that's going to want that. Tried to give it to my wife. She didn't want that. If it doesn't go, I'm going to keep it because it's actually pretty cool. It weighs like, gosh, 8 pounds or something. It's pretty solid. It's not a cheap Chinese deal. Cool story on the Bergie. Probably will tell that in the show. That is a beer item of some kind. We got some bandanas, and these are Harley bandanas. Didn't pay a lot for them. I don't remember. Hard to tell. The bidding moves so fast, and you got to get in there. I don't know. There's eight of them there or something. I believe they're from the '90s, so a little age to them. Lot those up. That'll be a good money maker. This is a really cool item. What was the brand of that banana peeler? Stucco or Stratco? Something like that. We just looked it up because I wanted to have a little more info going in. I'll talk more about it at the show. It's a mini stoplight. It's metal. I didn't know how old it was. It was, it looked like it could be railroad. It looks like it could be some sort of a toy set. It's high quality. Turns out it's a car device from the 50s. In box, used, about this condition, we saw 150, 175.
Yeah.
In this condition, I'm looking at $100. Pretty easy, I think. People put them on their rat rods or whatever, I guess. Paid $27. There was a few people that locked onto it. The auctioneer didn't really know what to think about it. I'll talk a little bit more about it, but I did know about that going in, and I was watching that thing like a hawk because I just knew I wanted it. It was so interesting and unique. This we picked up today at the local indoor auction flea market type place. Really cool. No, actually this came from the gun show. We had a gun show in town, and we usually go in there, coin and gun show, and pick up everything that's not coins and guns. This is a nice Jeep brochure, Willie's Jeep brochure. Paid $10 for the batch. There's about 4 or 5 brochures in there. The Jeep one itself should go for 20 to 30. Cool cam. Picked that up at a rummage sale yesterday, I think. Let's see, what is today? Saturday. Went to the auction Thursday, rummage sale Saturday. No, Friday, and then went to a couple places today. Cool cams are still pretty good. We haven't tested it yet. They aren't as good as they used to be because there's a lot of competition for Polaroid instant pictures now. It's got the case. If it works, it'll be decent. I think we only paid $3 or $5. Lowy Pro case. I think we paid $5 for that. Wheeler said he's not going to keep this one because he has 100 cases and he has one of these already. That should sell pretty well. I think we paid $5. With lots, a lot of weird stuff comes with them. Mr. Peanut came along with a couple of other items. We haven't looked that up yet, but it's got to be a 60s, 70s at the newest Mr. Peanut dish. That's got to go for 10 or more plus shipping. We didn't pay a lot for that lot. Miscellaneous lot, tech deck, some other things in there. It's a money-making lot. Now, part of the reason I pick up some of these smaller items, and I wouldn't necessarily call them simpler items, but they're items that are listable by a beginner lister, is because my new beginner lister banana peeler needs some things to list. So I'm constantly trying to pick him up stuff too and keep him busy. Ornaments, it's off season, they just came in a lot. This thing is a bank, this Cowboys thing. I was surprised. It does seem to be missing a little piece on the inside, but they go for $10-15 plus shipping. It's metal, it's a locker. It's an actual Cowboys locker. I don't know how they made it that small. That's a joke. Commodore power supply. Here's some things we picked up today at the auction store, whatever. This film is good for us. Bolex, this is all full of Bolex accessories and stuff, all $10, $15, $20 bills. And then this is, Wheeler says that this is rolly and in good shape, and he'll probably talk about it. Oh, can you get that open? Says that's a $100 bill. We paid $20 for all the camera stuff, so carefully put that back. Let's see what else we got here. These I picked up today, shot in the dark. She said you just got them in, didn't get a chance to do much with them. These are some sort of early Asian China. She thought they were 1920s, 1930s communist, pre-communist pins. I'm gonna have to do some research, but definitely old pinback pins. I pay $25. Who knows? I'm hoping that's $100 worth of pins, but you just don't know. Could be break even, could be throwaway. This is a quack device. The thing is really heavy. It's like aluminum. There's a weird light in there. It's to treat kids quack device back in the 30s, 40s. Ultraviolet light. You stick your head, hands, who knows what in there. I've had good luck with those medical quack device things. It works. Probably $80 at least. Picked up a couple hats today for $1 a piece. Hats are a lot like belt buckles. You pick up the correct national brands, made in USA, cotton hats, things like that. They go really well. We've done good with the Ducks Unlimited. Did pick up some belt buckles today. A 70s Hot Wheels one, pretty good. All these other ones are from the 80s and should be pretty good. I paid probably an average of $7 each for these, which is on the high end. These were a little cheaper. This one's a good one, this Ducks Unlimited one. Paid a little more for that. Probably paid $10 for that, and that one might be a 30 plus. It's a special one. This is an older private sign. Somebody would have had that on their door. It's brass. Don't know what I'll get for that. And this screwdriver came with it, which is kind of a knurling on there and a brass one. These are little items, kind of fun items. And of course, this reminds me of some of my potty training and my children. Make yourself useful and wipe my butt patch. Surprisingly, it'll go for $3-4 plus shipping. So we'll let Banana Peeler deal with that.
No.
Are you excited?
No.
Look up here.
No.
Nope. Yeah. This is one of my favorite items from the auction. The auctioneer just shouted out, blah, blah, blah in a box, and I didn't really catch it. And then he said something Country Club, and I just caught Country Club. I'm thinking, well, it could mean a lot of things, but I took a stab at it, threw a bid in there, somebody bid back, bid again, I don't know, 12, $13. And I got the peanut bowl and the Country Club Pilsner beer, goats or whatever. This is a brass and metal plate that the newspaper would have made up for an ad in the newspaper from probably 50s or 60s or somewhere in there. And it's really cool. It weighs almost a pound. It's got their little story and the whole thing in reverse. You could stamp this on ink. This is a long sell. There are some of these type of plates out there that go for next to nothing. Because of the specialty of this, I will wait around and or keep it. I listed it for $100, and we'll see what happens. If I get that, I'll be happy. If I get half that, I'll be happy. We'll see. Okay, I don't usually buy glasses. I got a set of 4 John Deere real cool tumblers, along with a 4-pack of Coors gold rimmed glasses and some Coors regular glasses, 4 each in these boxes. $10 for the whole lot. Stuff was getting really crazy at the end of the auction. They're just trying to fly through it because it was a long auction, lots of stuff. The gold rimmed Coors glasses actually will probably go for 20 plus shipping, and John Deere's I think the same thing, and I might end up keeping the other Coors. So actually did all right on the glasses. Okay, I don't think there's anything else over here. We did buy a pencil and pen lot. I overpaid. I paid $42 for what you see in here. I got in a heated battle with somebody that I just wanted to beat. I don't know how that would ever happen, like I'd feel competitive or anything. Anyway, when we were done, I was like, man, it's a lot for pens and pencils. We've done well with pens and pencils. And I told Banana Peeler we just need to find a couple of $20 bills in there and then lot up the rest and we'll be just fine. So what What did we find? Do you remember?
30, a 20, and two 15s.
A $30 pen or pencil, a 20,
Yep.
and two 15s. What's
Yep.
that add up to quick?
80.
So that's 80. So that sounds like four $20 bills, and then we'll still lot up the rest. So probably at least a doubler over a couple months or however long it takes to sell. Maybe a little bit more, and that's a good thing for Banana Peeler to list and look up. We got a couple of cool posters. They're vinyl posters, 50 cents for both of them. Nobody would take them. One is Pepsi and Shaq from the 90s, and another one is the Black Mamba, which Kobe's retiring. This year it's some sort of Nike shoe from Foot Locker. People have them listed for $20, $30, $40, so we'll see. I think that I don't like shipping those long things like that. For 50 cents, I suckered into it. This is one of my favorite ones. This was one of the first items they auctioned, and I think they woke people up. I did miss out on some really cool beer stuff. There was some competition on this, but I was right on top of this one. This was part of the reason I went. Olympia Lights Up, near perfect condition, probably from the 70s. I paid either $25 or $30 for it.
35.
And Banana Peeler says $35. $35 for it. I will list it for $200 plus shipping. 3 or 4 of them have sold right around that, and they had best offer on them, so they didn't sell for that. But this is $150 plus light, and there's none listed right now, so people want that. It does look nice lit up. I had a battle for the Vitamix. If you don't know about Vitamixes, when you buy a Vitamix new, now, or 10 years ago or 20 years ago, they're always like $500, $600, $700, $800, $900. Haven't plugged this one in yet. I paid $65. They are pretty tough machines, and this should sell for over 100, even into the mid 100, 150 range, depending on how well it works, if it works. So that's a little bit of an iffer, but I've always had good luck. I use one at home too, so I like them. I've got a better one, a newer one. Commodore disk drive, that was a weird deal because you can't always tell what's going on up there, and there was a lot of people. The person said computer, and so both Wheeler's and my ears perk up because we couldn't see a computer, which means maybe it was old, maybe it was small. We didn't know. And this is the computer, and it was sold with a bunch of phishing stuff that we threw out. It was junk. And so anyway, I've got some way to test this thing. If this thing tests out, this disk drive, be 30 plus shipping, and I think I paid 10 or 11 for that and the phishing stuff. So you don't always win out, but that was a weird one. And then this is probably the crown jewel. I'll come around here. This is an old IGA sign. I looked this one up online before we went down there. And IGA is a food store. This is the 1971 and earlier logo for IGA. This is a good size sign with brackets. I haven't opened it up yet. There's lights and stuff shaking around in there a little bit. Plastic's in pretty good shape. It's a metal can. It's pretty heavy. It's got a neat look to it. It's a limited market. I was going to pay up to $200 for it because I drove 2.5 hours. I'm like, I'm getting this thing. And ended up paying 50 or 60. I can't remember.
65.
No.
Pretty sure it's 65.
Well, you're not always right. It's either 50 or 60. I think it was 60. Anyway, that will be a little tough to ship, but that will sell for 200 or more. Easy. I may list it as high as 400, depending on what's going on inside of it and how I feel when I list it. So all in all, good stuff. We'll talk more about it back at the show. Anything else?
Nope.
I did miss a Blatz picture. It was like a picture in a picture frame that had a bottle, a plastic bottle on it that was really cool. And I think that was an easy $100 or $200 bill, and I lost out on that at $22 because I just couldn't see it in time. bam, gone.
Yep.
Okay, over and out. And we're back.
I look exactly the same.
Well, you are
That's right.
exactly the same. We went through a 17-minute time warp.
Yep.
So that was our haul video with Banana Peeler that showed you some of the items. Now, right off the bat, I looked at my invoice here for the auction. Olympia sign, I did pay $30 for that. Remember, Banana Peeler was all over me, but it's $30. The Harley thingies, that was $10 for all of them. Let's see. The Bergie beer jar thing, $10. There's one other one here that the IGA big sign, it was $50. Now I made a huge error. I was so burnt out at the end of the auction and so overwhelmed by everything. I had them charge me sales tax and I forgot to pull out my tax ID. So there's a $33.66 mistake. I didn't even blink at that. Oh well.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
auction.
We're gonna make that up, but yeah, that's maybe coming off being sick. Okay, so your thoughts at the auction?
It's pretty fun. I'm kind of caught between auctions because how long they take. I don't know. I'm just kind of like rather have it take less time, but nah, it's pretty fun.
Here's my thing. I don't want to take up a Saturday for an auction unless it's a really good one and
A camera collection of some crazy
Right,
guy
or we
sold
had-
to amateurs.
we had one
Yes.
local that was like 200 vintage clocks, and these were the advertising clocks. I would go to that one on a Saturday. I didn't go to it, but I wish I would have now. There's a few I would go to on a Saturday. We would rather go where we can go to set places, go in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, and control our own time.
Yep.
This was a during the week auction, and I would go to those all day long because there's nothing else going on
Well,
there
exactly.
during the week. There's-
School, but
Yeah, but we're
yeah,
flexible.
we can work around that.
We're mostly flexible on that, and obviously I couldn't go every day. But
Yeah, Monday, Thursday.
I mean, there's no
Friday.
rummage sales. There's no trips to Denver. There's no trips to Wichita. There's no trips to Omaha. There's no trips to Wisconsin.
We listed night anyway.
Right, we came back
Most of
and
the time, yeah.
we listed anyway, so it didn't interfere.
No, not much.
So we could do that once in a while if we want to. They don't come up
No.
very often. So before we went to the auction, we looked things up online, or I did, to see if this was the kind of auction that we wanted to go. I would highly recommend that because you could travel. We traveled 2.5 hours, which is a long ways. You could go any distance you want to go, and if you show up and it's all furniture and you want smalls, you'll be disappointed. If you show up and it's livestock and
Livestock that look like cameras, you saw all the pictures, they look like cameras, they show up as all livestock.
I looked online, they had probably 50 items listed, and I probably wanted to bid on 10 out of the 50.
Yep.
And then we showed up, and the much more turned out to be much more.
Yeah.
Because there were at least another 20, 30 items right off the bat. I'm like, whoa, dude, I want to bid on these. Now, how many actual auctions? We were there for probably 80% of it, and we left because we had to get back.
Yeah.
How many lots do you think there were? How many separate auctions would you estimate? Hundreds.
Hundreds. Yeah, I was gonna say 400. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of
Hard to
things.
estimate.
There were a lot of things to bid on, a lot of varied items, a lot of smalls, a lot of quality vintage items.
Man, they really kept it rolling though. Like we've been to a couple auctions, and man, this was really fast paced.
Every 45 minutes, they bring in a new auctioneer.
Yep.
They had them on wagons, and you were sitting in the stands, and there were people standing all around the wagon. And then they'd roll the wagon out of the way and roll another one in. It was like a farm wagon. It was done really well.
It was.
And they had 3 or 4 people holding stuff up, and so the auctioneer would keep pointing around, and they all they didn't have microphones on all of them, but they all had good voices where you could hear them. They were a lot in the craziest things together though, so the guy's like, oh, we got a computer over here and some fishing equipment.
Yeah.
It's like, oh. So
No, there's some weirder ones than that too. I can't remember some, but
well.
got some pajamas and some sort of crazy electrical device. I can't remember what it was.
Halloween masks and this pitcher and this lawnmower.
Yeah.
It's-
This is the craziest stuff you could ever imagine, just slotted together.
They're just trying to move it, move it through. And there's some weird heated battles on things like cookbooks.
Like I said, 2 cookbooks that, as far as I could tell, went for $10 each on Amazon, sold for $7.60 to these 2 people.
Yeah.
And there's like 4-person bidding war, just crazy all over the place.
So now some of you out there auctions are probably your main way of getting stuff. And there, I could see that in certain cities, areas, venues, or whatever, or if you had just the time to go when those auctions are. We got to the auction a little early, and there was more to look at than we could look at before the auction started.
Yep.
And so we glanced over as much as we could, didn't see it all, and then the auction started, and then there were probably 100 people there.
Yeah.
And there were probably 10 buyers that were buying more than I was. And there was probably 2 or 3 buyers that were buying most of it. They were bidding on most everything that was of value, and they were buying most everything. And then I had to pick my battles.
Yep.
And then there were some crazy people there.
Some crazy high-end stuff too. There's some like furniture and stuff that was going into the 1,000
Yeah,
range.
yeah, there was some good.
Higher-end stuff.
There was certainly some good stuff there.
Yep.
So it was fast moving, and it caught some people off guard, and I got caught off guard a couple of times. And they brought the hammer down quick a couple of times and woke everybody up. I mean, it was.
$0.20, $1, $2, $2 sold. Okay.
They were not afraid. I even missed a bid. I put a bid up and I was just too late. I mean, so you really had to pay attention, and it was
zip zap sold. Zip
fun,
zap sold.
Fun and challenging, and as you saw, we got some pretty good items.
Yep.
And have some good stories. So I would say it's one of the better auctions that I've been to. I've probably been to 10, 12, 15 auctions in my life. It was probably one of the better as far as quality and probably one of the better runs. Now, they have been running auctions, I guess, for 65 years. So
yeah.
I would encourage you to go sit in some auctions if you haven't, and watch if you're intimidated, bid on some things. Usually if you're people that are running it, they're going to be more experienced than you are. They'll help you through it. They had to remind me to hold up my number about 6 times. I was like, I wanted to take a nap, but they're like, number.
You're like,
they actually knew my number.
Yeah, well, yeah, they memorized a lot of the numbers, which is kind of funny.
Well, they're pretty smart.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure if you have any questions about auctions, you can ask us in the comments. We'll do that. I don't think we plan on going to a lot of auctions. I've had some ideas of buying storage auctions again.
Yeah.
I just
Those are kind of fun, but there's some challenges with that too.
yeah, it's just
Obviously.
it's not our thing. We're more like marksmen and ninjas.
Snipe it.
Yeah, so we we love the treasure hunt. So it's hard not to buy in all different kinds of ways, but that was a lot of fun. Rummage sale, don't really need to talk about that. We like rummage sales. I don't like to travel real far for them, and I hate going to cookie cutter rummage sales where they're all the same.
All the houses are like built 2005, and it's just
you got
all the same. Yeah, it's all clothes, all baby toys.
Are older people and closer to estate sale type things.
Yep.
The gun and coin sale was interesting again because we weren't really interested in buying either guns or coins. There was some neat stuff to look at there.
Yep.
But they brought a few other things, and we were able to buy things like belt buckles and some other related.
Jeep brochure.
Yeah, they had some brochures and vintage books. They had some other things to look at there, kind of like that. It wasn't a whole lot of stuff.
No.
But
It's worth a stop. It's local.
For the half hour we were there, it was probably worth it.
Yep.
Okay, so let's show off some items.
Okay.
You want to go first today or me?
Sure.
Go ahead.
First. So I guess the one other thing we did besides the auction, we were waiting for this one item to come up, so we went to a little antique thrift store thing for a little while. Picked up
Hang
this
on.
little camera.
So at the end of the auction, or what I should say, after they did a bunch of the smalls, like 4 or 5 hours of the smalls, they went and did all the furniture. And after we understood their flow, the big IGA sign was not going to be up for at least an hour, and we might have had to head home and not bid on it. And so we wanted to look around town a little bit, so we ducked out of the auction and went to 3 stops and came back and still won the sign.
Yep.
But anyway,
So I guess I want to talk a little bit about like these little kind of mail order cameras. These have been around for a long time, obviously, and they still were around up until maybe the 80s or something. But there's these little cameras you ordered for however much money, not very much money, and they came in these nice little boxes, and it's
so
just this
these
little
would
cheap
be like in the
plastic
back of Good Housekeeping or Popular Mechanics or Boys Life.
Yeah, or
Or-
photography magazines or stuff like that too.
Yeah, it's, send away for they'd have is a marketing type thing.
Yeah, and also there are some cameras I've heard that were in like claw machines and stuff too. I don't know, from some places. So anyway, these little cameras here, they take little like miniature film and stuff, and they're pretty desirable.
Now before computers and iPads, hang on, before computers, iPads, cell phones, smartphones, all the electronics, cameras were one of the big nerd toys.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so cameras were way more popular when those came out, and so everybody wanted all kinds of cameras.
Yeah.
You know,
There's another
version.
Another little mail order camera that we had in stock, so I said show that off too. It's just another version of the whole thing there, but there's numerous different types, including like the HIT cameras, like the little SLR looking things, and some other stuff. So
Now, some people just collect just those, right?
yeah,
there's,
I'm sure.
We don't know for sure,
No.
but there's a collector's market.
Yep. I just want to show this thing off. We found the flea market antique thingy in town. It's a boxed Rolleiflex accessory.
I showed them, but I didn't know what to tell them.
Yeah, it's this little Rolleikin thing. It converts the medium format camera to use smaller format film, which probably doesn't mean much to most of you. But anyway, I guess the gist of it is we paid, $20 for the
20 for all of it.
whole lot of all kinds of stuff, and then this alone should go for $100 real quick. So that's
Now
pretty good.
that would have been an accessory that was not very common at the time, but
That's pretty common.
But now you come along, and somebody that gets into it now
Fancy box.
has trouble finding that. It's a
Yeah.
it's a scarcity thing.
There's a lot of them listed, but the thing is, there's so much demand for them, and at the time, well, that's the reason it only goes for $100. It's not because Rolleiflex stuff in general is extremely expensive, so this is actually on the low end of accessories for that kind of stuff.
Well, $100 bills.
Yeah, no, $100 bills, $100 bills.
It's not what it used to be.
Yep. And then I guess I just want to show this thing off quickly. It's just a camera lighter from the 1950s, made in Japan, just kind of oddball. We've picked up a couple of these actually.
That's the
This is
only one we
second
have right now?
Yep, we sold the other one.
Yeah, they
It's like the push top, and then it
sell in
like
kind
pops
of
up into that thing there. So.
streaks.
Yep, it's kind of neat. Made in Japan, 1950s.
We picked up one that we paid too much for, and we picked up another one that we paid too little for.
Yep, so one we paid too little for. The one we paid too much for, we actually sold for, made a good profit on. This one's a little bit less, a little bit worse shape, so didn't sell quite as fast.
We do fine.
Yep.
Oh boy!
And-
that daylight savings time is.
It's getting to you, like mentally.
It's getting to me. Yeah, my clock's off there. Wait, I don't know what time that is. Hey,
But anyway,
by the way, I turned my watches ahead today, one day early, just to start
it
acclimating.
was loaded.
Whoa.
Shooting stuff here with my camera. Anyway, just wanted to talk quickly about another interesting thing in camera design and stuff. Probably the 1950s when a lot of innovation was happening in the camera market. And one interesting thing I run into a lot is really odd, like placement of stuff, very odd features, odd, like just before everything was a lot more uniform in the 60s and 70s with cameras and like competition and stuff. Some of the early ones really had some weird stuff along with them. This one here is-
Features.
yeah, features. This one came out in the guess 1950s, one of the first SLR cameras, and first of all, it has a waist level finder where you have to look down like that, and secondly, it whined with this knob and didn't have like the winder. It just has some really quirky things here. It has like 3 flash contacts for
So
real
the,
weird flash.
the finder is the thing you look through.
Yeah, the thing you look through.
And waist level is like you're standing,
Yeah, you're supposed to like.
looking down, straight down through the camera. The camera is point forward and you're looking down and you can see them, right?
And also, you know, it has a fancy feature here if you can figure out how to
You were saying
Work.
stuff before, so I changed
Yeah.
it to feature.
get a fancy thing here. It doesn't have an eye level
Stuff.
finder. It's just like a really
Eye
rudimentary
level.
iron sights.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
so it's a duplicate finder,
Yep.
dual finder.
So anyway, I'm just trying to point out how interesting some of these little cameras are, just in the variety you encountered before
Whoa.
the mainstream times of like the 80s and
Yeah.
stuff, where everybody was competing and trying to have that.
I'm not yawning at you, I'm
Yeah,
just yawning
okay.
in general.
And then another thing I was going to talk about, I couldn't find another camera that has something like this, but I've run into quite a few, like just really weird, like unexpected things in cameras. Like this one here, most of the time you're not supposed to touch the mirror or like anything like that. It's supposed to damage cameras and stuff, but this one, it's a Nikon too, which is really strange, but it has the battery door under the mirror box right there, which you guess you can't really see it, but it's really weird. Like there's weird battery door positions in some of these cameras that are just like, what? It's pretty funny. Like some of these cameras I have to look at for 30 minutes before I figure out where to even put the batteries in them. It's pretty
Right.
funny.
Well,
It's completely hidden in weird places.
you know, it's funny when you're young and green because my first 3 cars, I was amazed at where I put the gas hose.
Yeah.
And they used to
Yeah.
they used to have the gas hose insert area in all kinds of different places, including where the heck is it? It's under the license plate.
Yeah, no, I've seen that too. That's just
So
weird.
when I was young, I was amazed pretty easily
Yep.
too.
I want to show off some of these kind of oddball, like little premium compact cameras too, just like in this kind of thing. It's a real weird one from like the mid 1960s. It's with like the brushed aluminum and fancy square lens cap and that whole thing too. So I guess that's about it. Not a lot to show off, but just a few items, a few kind of interesting items.
We're having fun. I got them a few new camera items to play
Yep.
with. So our fix, we're not gonna like escalate our buying now. That was our fix for a while, right?
Now escalated. Next week, like 50 auctions.
All right, a couple things. Mr. Peanut is worthless, even though I said in the last video segment that it's got to be worth $10.
Yeah.
Now, $10 can get you a big bowl and 4 little bowls, new stock from the 50s or 60s. So sometimes I get fooled on old things, not because I don't recognize them, but because they're slightly before my time, and I forget that everybody had a Mr. Peanut set.
Definitely run into that with cameras too, like some of these old rangefinder stuff. They look so neat and everything, but since they're from the 50s, I have no knowledge of them. Same with like medium format and large format, so stuff that's outside your
Now,
expertise.
along with my Peanut thing, I got the Country Club stamp thing that I listed for $100. That's going to sell for at least 50. So
Yeah.
for $12. So the Peanut thing I can lose on. Hats, picked up a couple hats today. This is a Ducks Unlimited. Hats are good. You got to go high to low on hats and try to figure out which ones are good and which ones aren't. Ducks Unlimited ones, in general, there are better ones and worse ones. This one's towards the low end. This will probably sell for $10.99
Yeah.
plus shipping.
Based in Colorado, I think, since 1937. I don't know, they're
Yeah.
that old.
So that's a good one. This one, I picked these 2 hats out of about 50 or 60 of them. This one is, you know, it's made in the USA. It's pretty quality. It's got all the mesh
Channel, I
and
think is what that's referred to as.
all that
on
kind of stuff. PAR Electrical Contractors. None sold, 1 listed, currently for $40. So this is a $24.99 or $29.99. Wait and sit and it'll sell.
Yep.
So that's pretty good. I just recognize that as a national brand, and so I think that'll be good. Banana Peeler's good at picking out hats.
Yeah, no, that's one thing we're kind of training them for.
We usually get them for $1 a piece, and we look for new old stock ones. I did bring this in. I cleaned it up a little bit. I don't know. This is really cool. This Berge decanter. It's got kind of a a picture kind of like these funny beer guys, and I guess I don't know if the beer. We're gonna do a little research. I don't know if the beer is from South America, but this was made in Brio.
I thought it was more of some sort of Stein or something.
Well, this is Stein.
Yeah, I didn't think it was.
But it's a beer. But it's a beer brand.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really a Stein. I mean, how the heck do you drink? I guess.
Yeah, it's just like a
Fill
small
it
top, beer top.
Fill it, refill it, and drink it.
So,
I
you know,
guess.
it's like the normal screw on, or the normal like pinch over cap fits on top of that, so it's just the normal
It actually has
opening side.
Actually has a thread in there almost.
Yeah, it does. Just how it was made, I think.
Yeah. So I'm probably gonna have to fill it up and start drinking out of it. I don't know if I'll list it. It's really cool. I bought it for $10. It sells for probably $40.
It's kind of funny. We were about
plus shipping.
50% through the bidding. The auction was just about over on that item, and dealer's like, I wonder if that's a beer brand. So I just quickly like whipped up my phone, like looked it up, and I was like, oh yeah, it is. It's like right at the last second, right as it was about to be sold.
Got into it. Got it.
Barely got it. It was really funny.
Here's another auction
How's that
story.
going?
The auction guys that are really smart, they're up there sorting through stuff kind of as they go, and they put like 3 or 4 items in a line, and this is one of the auction techniques, and they will sell you any one of the items for the high bid.
Yep.
And it was with that pig that I had,
Mm-hmm.
that they had the pig, and they had the Kim Jong-un cookie jar, and some other cookie jar, and some other thing. And the weird thing about it is I was after the pig, and there were 2 other big buyers that were after different items, and we were fighting the bid up, and it was good for the house.
It was pretty funny, actually.
Because
yeah.
I overpaid for the pig. I buy the pig, and everybody's like, oh, nobody wanted the pig.
No, here's how it worked, actually. Somebody else bought something else, and we were like, oh, she's gonna go for the pig. And then she was like, oh, I want this weird cookie jar. We're like, oh, woo!
Yeah, and I got to go again.
And they got it for less. And then,
And then I bought the pig for $22.50.
Yeah.
And I took that, and it turned out the other person that was bidding went whoosh, and they wanted the other thing that was left. And so we were fighting.
got that. So,
we
yeah,
were all
it was really
fighting,
funny.
but we were all fighting over different items. And
Yeah.
so that's you gotta. But the problem is if you don't, they know it, and you know it. If you don't go for your item, you might not get it. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's not
I'm sure
always-
over the years they've got pretty good at like figuring out like priced items to put in this lot to kind of get people at each other.
Yeah, if
You
you
put an outstanding item in the lot, obviously people are gonna go for that.
if you go to an auction and you're timid and you never really go for stuff, you're not gonna win a lot.
No, depending on the auction,
If you
obviously.
go for hardcore and win stuff, you're gonna make some mistakes, but you're also gonna come home with some jewels.
Yep.
Like this thing, this stoplight thing. This is really cool, and I unwrapped it, and I happened to go around and I was gonna go look at these sealed model kits before they came up. I wanted to scan them on Amazon, and I ran into this thing in a box lot, and I was like, "What is that? I've never seen anything like that." It's like, is that for trains? Is that for a kid's toy? It's got real lenses on it. It's really solid metal and cool, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, whatever that is, I'm gonna bid for it. So I was watching and watching and watching, and the auctioneer looked at the box of stuff that this was in, and he's like, that doesn't fit in there. I could just read his body language, and he set it aside, and he walked and picked up some other things and sold those and came back to this and kind of shuffled it around. He didn't know what to do with it. And finally he picks it up and he goes, stoplight. And not only did he not know what to do with it, most of the audience and the bidders didn't know what to do with it. And the auctioneer was excited about it because he hadn't seen anything like this. And so there were 2 other bidders and me, and I knew I wanted it. And I thought, that's a $100 bill,
Yeah.
even though I didn't know that what it was, okay? And so I was willing to bet probably until it sold, $50-$60 I would have went. It was $27.50. I outlasted everybody. I just got done listing this for $110 plus shipping. I'm not saying it's going to sell for that. It might sell on one of my sales. It might last 30-60 day cycle. Might sell for $80. Many have sold for 100 or more. In the box, they've sold for 150. It's a trouble light indicator from the 50s. They stuck these things out there. If your car was broke down and they didn't have the interstate system like they do now.
Yeah, and they have hazards apparently on the vehicles.
I don't know if they did or didn't, but they stuck this thing to their battery or their auxiliary thing. They brought it to the back of the vehicle, inside, outside, I don't know, in the window, and they'd put it there, and it would either flash red, green, yellow, or it would be on red. You could put it on red, but it was some sort of indicator that would tell people that are passing by if they should stop and help you, if you're in trouble. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's really oddball.
So people are putting them on the rat rods now, they're hot rods and just general collections. I don't think a lot of them made it.
People like oddball stuff in their collection, something they can tell a story about, if somebody's looking at their stuff. So that could be one of those items.
So, Mr. Peanut Hunch, which by the way, I wasn't bidding on Mr. Peanut.
Yeah.
I just thought it was worth
Found
money.
it after the auction, after we bought the stuff actually. Which
yeah. And another side note is we probably threw away a third of a garbage bag full of stuff from that auction lot that we didn't even show in our video.
Yeah, which is a lot different than like storage units or something. There's like different types of auctions yield different throwaway rates, I'm sure.
Yeah, we threw away like 20 things, and really none of them were things that we had bought. It was just, it came along with the other stuff.
Yep.
So I'm not always right in my hunches. I was right in this one, and as you get more experience, you'll know when to pounce.
Yeah, it's funny. There are two different items. I can't remember what exactly each of them were. I guess one of them maybe was the Bergie or something, but where dealer here heard one very, like a key word or something they wanted to hear. Well, I remember it was the
Country Club
thing. He heard Country Club. He's like, is that the beer? And then right at the last second he was like, yep, that's the beer. Let's go for it. And he just went off that. Same with the computer thing, which obviously didn't. You
can only do so much research, and if there's 500 lots like there were in this auction, some of the buying is going to be by the seat of your pants, and it's going to be the same for the other people there. There were two people right in front of this box lot bidding on this thing, and all of a sudden the announcer, the auctioneer guy, was getting ready to wind this thing down, and between his, I got 9, will you give me 10, will you give me 10, and all that, he reeled off the items that were in it again, and he just happened to say Country Club, and it just brought my attention up. Country Club, like Country Club beer? Mm-hmm. And I just got in,
so boom. We didn't see what this thing
I got
was,
in, boom, I didn't even see it. I couldn't even see it from where I was at. I just got in and bought it and had one of my sons go get it. We brought it back. I'm like, yes!
No, that's just pretty crazy.
Because it was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work out there.
No, definitely.
But it worked out.
You have to be ready to strike on certain things.
Well, same with the Bergie. I thought the Bergie was just
I do. I thought it was some fancy stein, some fancy mug. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Fancy cookie jar. Who knows what company?
Once I knew it was beer related.
Yeah. It was only a hunch.
That was it.
Yep.
Okay, so we enjoy your comments. Somebody gave you a good comment this week that you're a good kid.
Woo.
We enjoy your comments. We enjoy your questions. Keep those coming. We enjoy when you give us a thumbs up. And we do like subscribers. So let all your friends and families and picker buddies know all about us.
All your pets, everybody can make a YouTube account. Tell them to subscribe.
Yeah, we're gonna try to catch Casey. He's only at 2,100,000 subscribers, and so we got a ways to go. But
yeah,
we figure it's one of these exponential things, and we're just on the.
We're gonna hit the viral thing. The
viral.
1 hour long thing that just goes crazy.
Woo!
Get 5 million views on an hour long picker.
It's gonna melt down. It's gonna melt.
Okay, that's what's unbelievable. Though.
Melt down the servers.
Yeah.
Tonight's show will be called.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be Gangnam Style. It's gonna get 3 billion views.
Psy is gonna be calling us, and he's gonna want to do Wheeler and Dealer Gangnam Style.
Yeah.
Reboot.
Average viewer retention is gonna be an hour on this video. That's like
nobody would dare turn off this show. I mean,
we're just
You know, I'm at 50 minutes. You add
Yeah.
on that other thing, add on our schluff talk at the beginning. Our show is getting longer.
Yeah. So by the time it goes viral, it's gonna be 10 hours long, and they're gonna be really excited. They're like, "Whoa, even more of what we wanted." You know, usually these viral videos like 2 minutes long. This one isn't 10 hours. You know, whoa.
Yeah,
We're going off deep.
marathons.
Crazy. Okay, anyway.
You gonna be all right?
Yep.
Okay. Until next week, this is Dealer signing off from episode 5. And
Whaler.
I forget what the date is. Oh, it's the 12th of March. So happy daylight savings time, and make sure to drink lots of coffee to get caught up.
Yep.
We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.